I bet you want to know what a low maintenance garden is and how to get it established in your landscape. Well, what does low maintenance even mean? Your garden is still a garden. It's an unnatural space that has little resemblance to what your native plants evolve with out in the wild. It's a pampered space by default simply because 20 plants aren't trying to exist in the same square foot, like out in a prairie or woodland. Your garden needs tending, but the tending will look different than the regimented, joyless slog that commercials suggest is necessary. This is a high maintenance landscape. This is composed of a single layer of plants in single species groups. This is going to require pre-emergent fertilizer every spring as well as mulch every year. So the expense of material and manpower is going to be continuous throughout the life of this landscape. There are always going to be weed pressures. There is always going to be this issue of plants never finding their way and creating a self-sustaining, resilient, or low maintenance landscape. So what does low maintenance even mean then? It does not mean no maintenance. A garden always requires some level of care and tending. That's just what a garden is. This garden here, sure, it is self-maintaining and the plants are directing the way, but it still requires tending. It doesn't have to take a lot of time. Maybe you walk through the space once a week for a couple of minutes to see what needs to be done, but that's it. That's low maintenance. What does low maintenance mean? It means that plants are carefully researched to suit the site. That means they are placed in the correct spots for soil, sun, and slope. These plants have all been placed correctly for their light and soil conditions. Therefore, they are thriving. That's low maintenance. What else does low maintenance mean? Plants carefully researched to match one another in a dynamic community. It's not just about placing plants where they fit as far as soil and light and drainage, but among each other, because some are aggressive and some are not. This means you have to consider their seasonal and annual succession, which plants come and go over time, their root habit and their above ground habit. This is a successional landscape where Cytos grama is the green mulch, and it is paving the way and reducing weeds, paving the way for perennial flowers to come in and flourish and spread on their own. What does low maintenance mean? Less weeding because you used way more plants than a traditional garden. We're talking plugs on 6 to 12-inch centers, perhaps even combined with seeding a green mulch like Cytos grama around the perennials that you planted. Plus, you count on and you even want the plants to reproduce to give you more plants for even more ecosystem function. This is a lush landscape that requires probably no more than an hour or two of tending every year. It's about 400 or 500 square feet. If you mowed this space at once a week for the entire growing season of 6 to 7 months, that would require far more time, far more resources, and be far more polluting. What does low maintenance mean? Less watering because you matched plants to the site and to one another. So plants that like it dry are placed in dry conditions, plants that like it moist are placed in moist conditions. And this knowledge requires that you go far beyond what a simple plant tag can tell you. What does low maintenance mean? Plants that don't spread aggressively where you don't want them, thus creating a monoculture. Monocultures are going to be far more intensive because they're going to have greater weed pressure. This means you have to research, again, the plants to know something about their behavior, such as how they propagate, how easily they propagate, and in what specific site conditions, because a plant is going to behave differently if it's in full sun or if it's in part sun or loamy soil or clay soil. And certainly, even the same species of plant is going to perform differently in Maine as compared to Iowa or Alabama. This is Culver's root. Likes it moist, but can take medium clay as well. What does low maintenance mean? Low maintenance is also about a shift in perception to accepting that plant composition changes over time, and we want that change. That's exciting. Plants are not marble statues that never move or always look the same. Plants proliferate, diminish, self-organize, and generally show us what and where they want to be. The problem is, in traditional design and horticulture, we treat plants like collector items and gardens like canvases, when plants are living organisms interacting often unpredictably with other living organisms, and we are simply managers. So how we manage a garden will dictate how much maintenance we feel that garden requires. This space is mowed once every spring and overseeded or has plugs put into it every fall. So management is different than maintenance. Maintenance is the same work at the same time every year, whether the garden needs it or not. It's not in tune with the space or the plant community, and so actually threatens the health of the garden. Management is giving up some level of control and tending the space when it tells you it needs that tending. In this way, management is a constant surprise that some may find challenging and others inspiring and in sync with their own natural rhythm. If you can get to a place where plants are co-conspirators in habitat and design, then maintenance will never, ever exist for you. As always, YIMBY, yes in my backyard.